Let's see who we have with us. My man, MG, Marco. Oh, good. The music sounds good. Thanks, man. We're going to start pretty soon here. I'm so grateful that there's even just a few of you here. While we're here, look around my studio if you want. I'll take a quick walk around, why don't we? This is my workshop. This is where we'll be working today. Little change of plans. We're going to use a pick guard for our experiment. I was going to use a cheap Telly style guitar, but we're going to use my pre-wired pick guard. We're going to rewire it. Just some of my gadgets here and practice amps. Cases. This one I'm going to talk to you about later. That's some rewiring work there, baby. Out here is the fun part. This is where the fun happens. This is the fun spot. This is my guitar haven. Another. That baby. Yeah. This is where all the magic happens, if you want to call it magic. All right, let's go back on the regular post here. Let's get this set up. All right, all right. Okay. Almost ready. I don't want to start too early because in case you missed somebody. Water. Gotta have it. Okay. Alarm's about to go off. All right, pretty soon. Almost ready. Thanks for hanging in there. Anybody name that song? Oh, what's that? Give me the blues. Let's shut that alarm off. Let's get started. I got my no copyright blues playing. All right, everybody, I dig you. Thank you for signing in with me. Even if you can just stay a few minutes, I really dig you and appreciate it. I got some free music playing. In case you're bored, it's better than elevator music. It's telephone music. Okay, so what's today's fun series about? Let me show you. Replacing pots. Ooh, there's a good view. There we go. Replacing pots on a guitar. Right? So what we're going to do, I kind of simplified things. I was going to do this on a guitar body, but I'm doing something else with that later. So we're just going to do the basics right now. We're going to show you how to remove, how to unsolder, and how to replace and resolder control pots, volume and tone. Before we do that, I've got a couple quick things to share with you. I'll make it quick. Let's see who's here, and then we'll get back to what we were doing. Car wash. Bobby. Bobby needs some work. All right, man. That's why we're here. We're here to help you. Now, real quick, I want to show you a couple things you're going to need. There's some essential things, and then there's other things that are like, well, if I have them, it's sweet, but don't have to have them. And if at any point my audio cuts out or something happens, somebody send me a text, anybody that knows me, or give me a chat message and say, hey, Matt, it's gone. Okay? All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you real quick what you need. I'm going to take this camera and move it around. And this is kind of an extra accessory. You don't need it necessarily for this thing, but it's a little helping hands. These little clips hold cables and wires and all kind of stuff together. It's good to have little wire cutters. This one's really good because it cuts in strips really thin wires. You need some solder, a good soldering iron. You need some pots. Okay? You guys if any of you have done this before, you'll notice that pots have a letter in front of them. This one says B250K. This one says A250K. A is what they call an audio taper. That's the way the signal is tapered, controlled, turned up or down. It's for audio things like volume. And generally, people use this one, the B250K, for what they call linear taper. And I'm not a scientist, but it sounds more straight rather than a curve like audio. Anyway, we're going to follow the norms and use an A audio taper in the volume pot and a B linear taper pot for the tone. All right. A couple other things you'll need. You'll need wire. This is really cool. I got this at a really good deal on Amazon. Yeah, I think it was made in the USA. Oh, nope. Anyway, if anyone can pronounce that, I'll give you $1. Tao Fang. Anyway, you need some good wire. This is solid stranded. It's not stranded, it's solid wire. I prefer that. And usually this is on your guitar, but this is an input jack. We're going to use that for a demonstration. And sometimes you need a little bit of sandpaper. Okay? All right, keep it simple, keep it simple. Let's get back. Let's get back. All right. So, you need your gear, all the stuff you want, and then you're going to need somewhere to put it on, right? So I had this used pick guard from an old guitar, and it's a cheapo. And I thought, if I'm going to do this as a demo, I might screw up. So let's just do it on a cheapo. What do you say? All right. So I did a couple things in advance to save you guys the time of watching me, because it can be boring. I already removed the old pots. Sorry, I'm talking and not helping you. Hold on. All right. So this is what we're looking at here. Sorry, I was talking and not showing you. I already put the pots in place here. I took the old ones out, but I left them connected to the back of the pick guard, as you can see. And for my sake, I wrote a V on the volume pot. Pot is short for potentiometer. It's a spinning thing that has a little arm in there, and it goes across these metal contacts and changes the signal, limits the signal through the wires. This is a tone pot. We're going to use a little different one here, but I wrote T, so I didn't mix it up. Okay, so that's the old ones, still connected to the pickups. That's how your pickups look inside the guitar. And this is the 5-way switch. It's kind of a cheapo, but that's okay. We're not worried about that right now. So here's our tone pots. I did a couple things already. I took these, put these in the pick guard, and I soldered all the ground wires that I needed on this tone pot, because that's kind of a pain. I didn't want you standing around. And then this is what we call a capacitor. Can you see that? So this capacitor, I honestly don't know all the details of how it works, but it also limits the signal to a certain degree. This is a 447 or 473. Okay, I just copied what was on there before. So that goes on this first lug. You're going to see these little things right here. These little tabs almost. Let me try to point to them. These are called lugs. Do you see that? Let's see it. Is that view showing up? I hope it's showing up. There's lugs. And they have holes in them. That's where the wires go. So here's what we're going to do first. What I did was I did some of that stuff first. Now I'm going to look at this here, and I'm simply going to copy what's on these pots right now onto the new pots. So let me come back to my face for a minute. If at any point I'm messing up or whatever and you're not seeing right, please somebody let me know. Doing my best to look at my workstation here and the computer over there. So it's a little tricky. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to jump right in. I already have my soldering iron heated up. A couple things you want to know. Before you solder the back of a pot, I say take a little bit of sandpaper in the area you're going to solder and just rough it up. If anyone does plumbing, or if you've done soldering, it's called sweating when we do on copper. I don't know why. You want to clean off the metal. So see, I just scuffed it up a little bit there. Okay? That makes for a better connection. Another thing you want to do anytime you're making connections with the wire to a pot or a lug or anything else, you want to tin the wire first. So what you do, take a soldering iron, don't stick it in your eye, and can you see this? See that? That baby's hot. Woo! Smoking! Get a little of the solder on the tip. Then you take one of your wires, like this, and you just touch the ends of it. And what that'll do, the heat is what transfers the solder. So you heat up the wire a little bit, and it puts a little solder on there for you. Doesn't always stick all the way, but you get a little bit on there, and that's kind of prepping it, okay? All right. I'm going to switch cameras and go back to the workstation. We'll see, we'll get started. All right. So we're going to do right here, notice this volume pot. I'm going to try and get a little closer. Let me see if I can get the camera to go a little closer. I hope that's good for you guys. We're on the volume pot here, if you see that, okay? I have a black wire not soldered yet. I have it through the lug, because that's where it was on the other one. Can you see that? Oops, sorry. And I'm going to solder it to the top of this, or the back of this pot, okay? It's not that complicated, but what I want to do is show you the old one. Here's that wire right here. And what happens is this black wire goes into the lug, then onto the back of the pot. Then a new black wire has to go from there somewhere else, which that will be later. So I have this wire I already tinned up, okay? Here it is. It's a little tricky sometimes if you don't have some way to hold all this together for you. That's why we'll use something like this. It's another little handy holder thing. I think it's called a, what do they call this? Helping hand, I think. You kind of take this, crimp it in there like that. I hope this is showing up for you guys. I know it's tricky to see this stuff. All right, so I want that right on top. Those two wires are right on top of the back of the pot. I'm going to bring my soldering iron over. Remember, I want to put a little bit of solder on the end. And then I want to heat the pot. Not necessarily the wire, because the wire will be sucked in with the solder once the solder is hot and once the pot is hot. I'm putting it on top of the wires so it goes through the wires into the back of the pot. I'm going to take this solder and just let it melt. That's all you need to do. Look at that. Oops. It's like a magic wand. Okay? When the solder flows, it should flow by itself. You don't want to force it. Okay? Whoops, let me get a better view here. Okay, here's what we just did. This camera is not doing a good view. I'm sorry for that. Oh, this camera's ticking me off. Can you see that? I soldered to the back. So I have a black wire here that is kind of going to go to something else later. And I have the black wire that went through the lug. This dang camera. But anyway, that's what it's going to do. So that's that one. We'll do a couple more. What I need to do is see what else is needed on this one. So there's that black wire. I got that. I need a white wire on the middle. See, this white wire is on the middle of this old, sorry, on the middle of the old volume pot. I already have a white wire ready to go. This will be going along with that black over to the input jack. All right, so let's get a little bit of solder on our iron. All right. We want to tin the wire first. Right? Do a little bit of tin. Actually, I jumped the gun there. Sorry about that. What we want to do first, my fault. We want to take this wire and put it through the little metal lug. There's a hole in that metal lug. And I like to bend it. I put it through the hole and bend it. See that? And I'm going to bend it over so it kind of holds it in place. But that's not a good enough connection. You need solder to hold this together. But this is how you get it to stay roughly where you want it. And you can just lay that wire out of the way somewhere. If it doesn't bounce and jump off like it just did for me. There we go. All right, let's put it, oh, you jerk. There we go. All right. All right. Now I'm going to do something, guys. I'm going to switch this camera over top of the workbench because this other one is just not doing a good shot. So hold on a minute. I think this will be a better camera. Just this one wasn't working for me. Oh, that's so much better. How's that? I think that's a clearer image for sure. Thanks for your patience. Okay, that's better. Much better. Okay, wow. Okay, so anyway, I got that white wire through the middle lug. I hooked it around so I could pull on it, it won't come off. All I need to do, I already tinned it, so that's good. I'm going to put a little more solder on my iron. Once again, you want your iron pretty hot because that's what does all the work. Put the wire back where you want it. Now I like to put the tip of the iron into that hole on the lug. You'll see what I'm talking about. See these lugs here? See the holes in there? Those metal parts that are bent over? I put the soldering iron right in there. Okay? Just to kind of hold it in place. Let it heat up a little bit. And then you come in with the solder. Just let it flow. And then pull out of the way. It's not that hard as long as you let the soldering iron do the work. Don't try to force it, okay? I hope this is helping. There's the connection right there. So that's our, this white and black will be going to the input jack. Now I'm not really putting this on a guitar because this is kind of a demo, but just letting you know that's what those will go to. And this black one that I did earlier before signing on, that will go to somewhere in the guitar that's grounded. In this case, it will connect to what we call the trem claw. When you open the back of your guitar, there's usually a tremolo in there for strats like this model, and you connect it to that, or you connect it to the underside of the bridge because it needs to be grounded to the guitar. Okay? All right, we'll do a couple more, and then I want to show you how to unsolder something. All right, so far I have my black, I got my white in the middle. Now what I need to do is do a red. If you can see, I need to do a red wire from the middle lug of this, middle lug of the tone, over to the left lug of the volume. I already have that wire cut. I'm going to strip it a little bit better. That's why it's nice to have this. This particular wire stripper is great. This is an Amazon thing, and really works well. Okay, so let's tin these ends up real quick. Okay. Woo, doggy. They don't stay hot. Picked a bad day to quit smoking. Okay. All right, we're going to do this little connection, and then I'm going to stop and do a little question and answer in case anybody has questions. But remember, what I'm going to do first, let's zoom in a little more. All right, I'm taking this red wire, and I'm going from the middle lug of the tone pot. All right, sometimes these wires get in your way. It gets a little tight sometimes. All right, I'm going to bend this over so that it doesn't move on me. And then we have to go to the, let's see, the leftmost lug on the volume. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it so it looks a lot neater. I don't want to have like an inch or more of extra wire. Okay. Right about there. It all depends on how pretty you want it to be. Some guys are really like masters, man, when it comes to tight wires and short connections. I mean, they really are geniuses. I'm not as refined in that way. All right, let's put it back through. I'm putting it through the lug. I put it through the lug. I can bend it if I want to. I don't have to, but I'm going to bend it just to make sure. I like to do that. All right. Almost there. I know it's hard to see what I'm doing. I'm just trying to bend it over. Come on. Just enough to hold it. All right, almost there. Okay, good. All right. So I went from I was copying this one. Always make sure you look at it upside down too. I went from the middle lug over to the left lug, okay? All right, simple enough. This will be our last solder until we take a little Q&A break, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit of solder. Try not to hit your other wires. There's a black wire right there. It's really close. So I'm going to hold this out of the way. Don't touch anything else if you can. Avoid it, especially not another wire. Let it melt. Just let it flow. There you go. I'm going to come from a little bit of a different angle this time. My hands are shaky. All right. All right, letting it flow. And if it worked right, if it flowed and it was hot enough, you'll see it has a nice, well, let's get a better view here. I'm working on it. Woo, doggy, someone's getting hurt. Hold on. It'll have a nice finish to it. See this red wire here? It's a nice connection. It doesn't look all funky. It's kind of nice and smooth. It filled the little hole up with solder. All right, so that's the majority of the wires. Let me double check before I go on pause here. Okay, I think that's it. Black out, black in. Yep. Okay, we're going to go back to regular camera for a minute. Woo, look at that face. Hold on. All right. All right, that's really bad. Let's try this. That's better. Okay. I just want to make sure I don't miss any questions or comments or even suggestions, because if you've done this before, I'm always open to learning more. I'm going to check and make sure we don't have any questions. Oh, Bobby, one of our friends on here, Bob, is a really smart dude, and a potentiometer is a variable resistor, so it resists the flow. That's right. Good. Thanks, Bobby. Thanks for reminding us. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions on what I've done so far? Does it make sense what I've done? It's not a complicated process. Now, I want to show you something real quick, though. Stay right there. There are ways that it becomes more complicated. Hold on. sometimes when you want to do like a custom wiring job, which I've done several, I did one, Bobby, I think you remember, I did one where I took a Telecaster, a Squire Telecaster, and I hooked up what they called a ghost pickup. So it was like a piezo saddles, which gave you the option to blend in like an acoustic sound on an electric guitar. And for some unknown reason, I sold that guitar. Anyway, that's a complicated one. That took a lot more work than just changing pots. But then sometimes you want to do something funky with a guitar you have, and you might need a wiring diagram like this. And this is for the Fender 4-way Telecaster wiring. And what this does, it gives you what some people call the Nashville wiring scheme. I think I've heard it called that. So normally in a Telecaster, you have a 3-way switch. The up position is just your neck pickup, which is generally that one, I think. I think I'm seeing that right. I think that's that one. Second position is both pickups. Then when you put it down the bottom, you get the neck pickup for that tele twang. Okay? This 4-way lets you do something completely different. It lets you turn on both pickups, but in, I think it's series. It could be parallel, sorry. But what it does is it makes the 2 pickups into like a humbucker, so it's a lot more powerful. I'm going to do this wiring mod to the red Tele model I had in my preview. Anyway, so sometimes you might need a more complicated wiring scheme. This one's not that bad, but you'll need a couple different things like a new switch, and new pots all the time. But anyway, that's that. Are there any questions? John has a question. Do these pots come with diagrams? Not necessarily. So for instance, what you usually have to do, if you don't have one that's already wired like this, where you're going to just change them out, you might need to look up a Strat wiring diagram or Tele wiring diagram. But I tell you what, when you look that up, you'll get all these options in Google or YouTube for like the Tele 4-way. There's a 6-way switch that I have in that one behind me. I'll show you real quick. You might get something like the 7-position or the 7-option wiring diagram for like David Gilmour's Blackie Strat, which I had on a Strat, and it was cool because it let you blend in all the pickups or the 2 outer pickups together, which you usually can't do on a Strat. So it really depends, John, if you are going to rewire something you already have, or if you're going to do something completely new. You can find any diagram online, and I have a ton if you ever need one. I printed them up and saved them. I'm going to show you one more quick thing, and I don't want to drag this out. Let's see. Okay, Bob asked if you always have to replace the wires. You don't have to. That's a good question. Now I'm going to show you something here. If you look at this, this is an output jack. Okay, it's really simple. You have the wire, the bare wire, which is considered the ground wire. In the case of the wiring on the guitar, it's the black wire. And then you have the white, which is like the hot. Those go on to this particular thing. The ground always goes to what they call the ring, which is where on your guitar cable, there's like a ring on there. And then the white or the hot wire always goes to the tip, which touches this tip right here. So that's what that's called, tip and ring. Okay? As far as always replacing the wires, you don't have to, Bobby. You can unsolder them. And I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. And then let me just finish real quick one more thing before I go on. I'm not going to do the rest of this wiring because I would have to disconnect the pickups from these pots, which I'll do at a later time. But basically, all I would do is trace how they're put into these pots and then just transfer them over to the new pots. But that's all the same of what we've been doing. I'm going to show you how to unsolder something. That's why I have this jack available. And this is where having the helping hands is really good. So I'm going to change over to the downward camera and we'll do this, okay? Sorry guys, trying to zoom. Oh, this dumb phone. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. How's that? Okay, good. Now I'm going to show you what we do here. I'm going to use my little helping hand. It's coming loose from its base. All right. I'm going to take my helping hand. I'm going to hold this jack just to give it, so I don't have to hold on to it. Okay. Can you see this, guys? I hope it's visible. Let me zoom in a little more. All right, let's see. How's that? Okay. So basically, there's another really cool tool that you need. It's a solder sucker. And it basically has a plunger on it. You depress the plunger, and there's a hole in the tip. See that? When you press the button to release it, it sucks the old, where is it? It sucks, where is it? There it is. It sucks the old solder off of your fitting. I'll show you what I mean. Depress the plunger. If you want to reuse wires, Bobby, this is how you do it. Marco, I'll answer your question in a minute. Good question, buddy. All right, so let's do this. I'm heating this up, right? And then I can just pull the wire off. See that? It comes right off. Now, if I want to get that extra solder out of the way, move my gun out of the way. You'll do it again. I think my solder sucker's dead. You solder sucker. You're a sad solder sucker. Hold on. This thing ain't working. Anyway, that's all you do, Bobby, if you want to. But then you might need to strip the wires a little bit because there's a lot of solder on there. Might be a good idea to trim that off and start over, but it's not a big deal. You can reuse wires. I'll just unsolder this one and show you. Just got to hold it on there and warm it up. Comes right off. Melts the solder. That's all it is. Okay? So let's go back to the main camera again. All right. Appreciate you guys hanging in there. Okay, so Marco asks, do pots matter? What brand, what type, what rating? I'm going to give you my opinion, and I've watched a lot of videos. I'm definitely not a scientist or even an electronic engineer, but I've done a lot of wiring, and there's a lot of myths that are out there about pots. Some will tell you that the small ones, like these old ones, they'll tell you that these are bad and that they don't work, but that's not true. They still turn 360 degrees or however far they actually go. It's just a matter of the quality of it, right? So the cheap ones may not be the best quality, but it's not because they're small. It's just the quality of the make, the brand. Now this is what people call a full-size pot, and sometimes dudes worry too much about size, and they say, well, I need full-size pots, man. Okay, well, you don't, but some of the cheaper guitars don't have a big cavity to put those pots in. That's why they use cheaper ones, and they're cheaper. But I'll tell you the two brands I like. These right now that I'm using are made by Music Lily. It's a budget brand on Amazon, and I've never had a problem with any of the pots, never had a problem with a lot of their hardware. Really good stuff. I'll put links in the final video for all this stuff. And then I also really like Bournes, B-O-U-R-N-E-S, and they have really nice pots. They're better than these in a sense. Some of it comes down to taste and preference. Like, do you like it to have a lot of resistance when it spins, or do you like it to flow freely? Ones that flow or move too freely can kind of be bumped and go out of whack quickly. So if you don't want to turn your volume up or down, you might turn it up or down by accident if you strum crazy and if you have a really loose fitting pot. Now this one is it has good resistance. I like this. There's not too much. Now there's also the rating of a pot. Okay, as Bobby reminded us, pots are what are they, Bob? What are they called? Dang it! Oh, variable resistors. So what happens is the signal passes from this lug to that lug. So if you go in here and you come out there, or vice versa, however you turn this, the more you turn it one way or the other, it goes from fully open to fully closed, or grounded as they call it. So the more you turn it one way, the more open of a signal you have to pass through, which usually gives you more sound or frequencies. And then you turn it the opposite direction, you eventually cut them off. Now the ratings, this is a B250K. They call this a linear pot. It's more of a straight line, like the taper that it goes on when from fully on to off or grounded. That generally people recommend using these on tone knobs. 250K means that it generally cuts off the frequencies from 250K and up. These are more often used on single coil pickups because single coil pickups already have a lot of high frequencies. They're a lot more thin sounding, whereas your humbuckers, generally people use 500K pots because they want to let more frequencies through, up to 500K. Now there are dudes who like to do, some dudes like to do 1000K pots because they want all kind of tone to come through, then they want to dial it off themselves, like turn it down. That's really a matter of preference. But I have a video in the description of this video that you should watch, and the dude's channel is my favorite when it comes to wiring, pickups, pots, and all the nitty-gritty, no-nonsense truth about this stuff. He doesn't give into all the myths, and the video is called 3 Myths About Pots or something like that, guitar pots, and it's by a guy who goes by Dylan Talks Tone. He makes pickups. He's been making them for years, and he hand winds them. Well, he has a machine, but he does it by hand. And great stuff. He has helped me the most. He can answer even more of your questions. His videos are phenomenal. Check out the link below. But generally, 250K for single coils, 500K for, you know, what we call humbuckers or double coils. Sometimes people go higher to let more tone through. So quality matters, but the size doesn't always matter. There are small pots, they call them dime size because this is more like a quarter. The dime size is small. That's all there is to it. But people get uptight about stupid stuff, man. I have full-size pots. Great, dude, you're cool. Okay, any other questions? I want to make sure I don't miss questions. I'm going to look at the chat section. Be right back. Okay, I think we're good. I don't have anything else to show you because it's not more complicated than that. As long as you have either old pots to copy or a wiring diagram, you get the right tools, take your time, make sure your soldering iron is hot enough, but not so hot that it melts everything it touches. You don't want it to burn the back of the pot because the pot is an electrical piece of equipment. You don't want to burn and make that too hot. You also don't want to hold that on there for 30, 40 seconds. If it's not melting your solder in maybe 5 seconds, 6, 7 seconds, then maybe you need to turn the temperature of your soldering iron up. Mine has a variable thing, and I have it set on almost 6 out of 1 to 8. I used to have it on 5, and it took a long time. But generally, it's not too complicated. Are there any other questions? If there are, please let me know in the chat section. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you And on the way out, I want to show you one quick thing, real quick. So I told you I like to do wiring mods. You'll see this cheap telly in the background here. This is I call this the Barrycaster. It's a baritone guitar. I put a baritone neck on it. It's basically a really cheap guitar. I got the whole guitar for like $90. And then I just took out the wires and I put this really cool switch right here. If you notice, I hope you can see this. Okay. This switch goes up and down like a regular telly, but it goes back and forth. So when it's pushed that way, it's the 3 regular positions. When it's pushed toward me, it adds they're out of phase basically. This is out of phase, then these 2 out of phase, and then this one is when you have both pickups in series and it becomes like a humbucker, and it's unreal. It doubles the tone and volume output. It's really great. But that's the kind of stuff you can do by changing pots, switches, whatever. And I hope that helps. All right. One thing, let me double check my notes, and then we're gonna sign off. Hey, I think that's it. I have to tell you, I dig you guys. I appreciate you spending time with me. And I'm gonna put this up on YouTube eventually. I'm gonna clip it down so it's not so boring and you're not gonna look at me the whole time. And but I do appreciate you guys helping me do this. I dig you. Thanks again for signing in. See you later.